What is up, folks? Welcome back to BrickBucks, and if you're new here, welcome. This is a channel where we talk about the value of Lego sets and Lego increasing in value over time. Today I'm going to talk about the Lord of the Rings Lego set. Of course, as Lego investors or collectors, we spend a lot of time looking at what's currently available and figuring out which sets might grow in value over time. And we don't really talk a lot about the themes of old. How have those themes performed over time? Did the Lego sets grow in value or did they not? And I couldn't think of any old theme that is better to kick this off with than the Lord of the Rings. Now, I am a big Lord of the Rings nerd. The Lord of the Rings movies are my favorite movies of all time, to the point where I don't even compare other movies to them. They're like a level above everything else in my mind. So in the Lord of the Rings theme, we had around 15 different sets that were released between 2012 and 2013, and most of them retired in 2013 and 2014. The last one that retired did hang around until 2015. And as we know, the Lord of the Rings theme was replaced by The Hobbit, a Lego Hobbit theme that had more sets in it than the Lord of the Rings did. Today we're just going to look at the Lord of the Rings, and then at a later stage we may come back and look at the Hobbit. Now, out of these 15 sets that existed in the Lord of the Rings theme, 3 of them were minifigs with accessories, so we won't look at those today. We'll focus our attention more on the bigger sets with more pieces in them. Before we jump into this, I do want to ask if you like the idea of looking back in time at old Lego themes and figuring out the value and whether they've increased over time or not. Please don't forget to hit that like button and let me know, because if I see a lot of interest in this video, of course, I'm gonna go ahead and make lots more of this kind of thing for you in the future. Now, as we're going through these Lord of the Rings Lego sets, we will be ranking them based on the value increase over time. So we're gonna look at the ones that have performed the worst in terms of value increasing at the beginning, but then by the end of this video we're going to be looking at the sets that have grown the most in value over time since the theme retired. And with that, let's look at some Lord of the Rings Lego sets. Up first now we have the Tower of Orthanc, set number 10237. What an incredible set, and this was the flagship iconic set for the theme for a lot of people. This was the largest set in the theme with 2,359 pieces, and this thing was over 2 feet tall when it was fully built, around 28 inches. This set had 5 minifigures, which in my opinion is a little low for a flagship set in the theme. The tower has 6 buildable interior floors with different scenes, which really adds a whole ton of playability to this set. Now, this set was released in 2013 and it retired in 2015, so it actually had a longer shelf life of over 2 years than most of the theme. This theme was pretty notorious for having pretty short shelf lives, and the Tower of Orthanc was a little longer than the others. It retailed for $200, and right now on eBay it's selling for around $400. So if you bought it for $200 and then sold it today for $400, after you've paid your fees on eBay, that would be a return on investment of around 70%, or an average annual return, because of course this retired around 6 years ago. So that would be an average annual return on investment of 12%. So you're just beating the stock market on this set if you were to invest in it 6 years ago, which is not great. And this is actually the worst in the list when it comes to the average annual return on investment. And some of the Lego sets in the Lord of the Rings theme are a lot better than this one. Up next now we have the attack on Weathertop, a very, very iconic and important scene from the Fellowship of the Ring. This is set number 9472, and this had 430 pieces and 5 minifigures. We have Frodo, Merry, Aragorn, and 2 ring wraiths here, and I just love these ring wraiths. They look so cool with those cloaks. 2 horses, of course, as well in this one. So this was a fantastic depiction in my opinion. I love the way the stairs look going up to the top, and Frodo, of course, with his sword Sting trying to fend off the ring wraiths. Now, one call out that I do need to make on this set is that the price per piece on this was a bit high. It was around 14 cents, and that is the number of pieces to the price ratio. The Tower of Orthanc that we just looked at had a price per piece of around 8 cents, which is actually the lowest in the entire Lord of the Rings theme. But this one was one of the highest with 14 cents. There was one other set that had a worse price per piece than this one that we will look at soon. So the Attack on Weathertop was released in 2012 and it retired in 2013 for a shelf life of just under a year. It had a retail price of $60, which for a set of 430 pieces, it was a little bit high. And there are other sets in this same theme that were a similar price that we will be looking at soon that had much higher piece count. So it could be considered a little bit expensive at $60. The current price on eBay today is going for around $160. So if you bought this set at retail for $60 and sold it today for $160, you would have a return on investment of around 127%, which averaged out over the course of its retirement life, which is over 8 years on this one. That would be a return on investment annually of around 15%. Up next we have the Pirate Ship Ambush Lego set 79008 with 756 pieces and a whole lot of minifigures, 9 in total. We have Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli. We have the Army of the Dead here as well, which is pretty cool. Now, in my opinion, this is not a set that I would have chosen to make if I was the Lego group, because out of all of the options that you have in the Return of the King, I think that there are others I would have chosen first. But it is a really, really cool set, and we know the Lego group love their pirate ships. And this one is just packed full of detail. This set was released in 2013 and retired in 2014, so it had a shelf life of around a year and a half, and the retail price on this one was $100. Current price on eBay is around $240 based on recent sales on this set. So that's a return on investment of around 104%, but it has been just under 7 years since this one retired. So that's an average annual return of 15% on the Pirate Ship Ambush. Moving back now to the Fellowship of the Ring, we have the Mines of Moria, set number 9473, and another one of the most important scenes in the first Lord of the Rings movie. This one had 776 pieces and 6 minifigures plus a cave troll, which I think just looks so good. We have Pippin, Gimli, Legolas, and Boromir here, and then 2 Moria orcs as well. Now this one had a price per piece of around 10 cents, which is pretty average for the theme, so it wasn't too expensive at a retail price of $80 for those 776 pieces in the box. This one was released in July of 2012 and it retired in December of 2013, so it had about a year and a half on the shelves, and it had that retail price of $80. Right now on eBay this is selling for $250, so if you had bought it at retail and sold it today after you've paid your selling fees, it would be 166% return on investment. Now, averaging that out over the time that it's been retired, which is just under 8 years, would be 21% average annual return on investment. Here it is, folks. It is the Battle of Helm's Deep from the Two Towers, the second movie in the trilogy. We have a incredible set here. It is set number 9474 with 1,368 pieces, and this is one of the other big iconic sets in this theme. This one had a total of 8 minifigures with Gimli, Theoden, Haldir, Aragorn, and a handful of Uruk-hai. And this set, in my opinion, is just packed full of playability, but also does not lose anything when it comes to displayability. I think the detailing on this set was just so fantastic, and it would look great on a shelf, although you would need a big shelf. It had a price per piece of 10 cents, which is around average for the theme. Now this set released in July of 2012 and retired in December of 2013, so it had a shelf life of around a year and a half. And it had that retail price of $130, but right now on eBay it's selling for $410 or so. So that's a return on investment of 168% if you bought it for retail and then sold it today at $410. Now it has been around 8 years since this one retired, so the average annual return on this one would be around 21% on the Helm's Deep battle. Up next we have the Council of Elrond, set number 79006 with 243 pieces and 4 minifigures. Now I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed in this set. I wish they had a much larger and more epic depiction of the Council of Elrond and more of the minifigures there. Of course, there were a lot of main characters present at that scene in the movie. And Rivendell in general is just so perfect for a really detailed and large model. I would love to see a 2,000 piece Rivendell set. That would be incredible. Now, the Council of Elrond was released in July of 2013 and retired in December of 2014 for a shelf life of about a year and a half. This one retailed for $30, so it was pretty reasonably priced, and it had a price per piece of 12 cents. It's currently selling on eBay for around $95 based on recent sales. So if you bought it for $30 and sold it for $95 now, that would be a return on investment of 169%, or annually that would work out at 25% every year over the course of the last 7 years since it retired. Alright, so next up we have the Battle at the Black Gate, one of the final scenes in The Return of the King, set number 79007. 656 pieces in this one and 5 minifigures. 4 of these minifigs were exclusive, and we have Aragorn as king here, Gandalf the White, the Mouth of Sauron as well here. And this set had a price per piece of around 9 cents, so it was very good value. And it also included Gwyer the eagle here and a horse as well. Now the front of the gate, I don't think it looks very impressive. It's a little bit bland, but we do have a lot more detail packed in behind it. So it certainly looks a lot more epic from this angle. And I gotta say, I would love to see about 5 of these combined into one big mock of the Black Gate. And this set was released in July of 2013 and it retired in December of 2014 for a shelf life of around a year and a half. It had a retail price of $60, but right now on eBay it's selling for around $200. So if you bought it at retail price and sold it today for $200, you would have a return on investment after you've paid your selling fees of around 183%, which sounds pretty good on this one. But of course, it's been a while since retirement. It's been almost 7 years. So if we average that 183% return on investment out over 7 years, it will be an average annual return of 27%. This next set is a bit of a crazy looking set. This is from the Fellowship of the Ring, and it is the Orc Forge, set number 9474. And this one had 366 pieces and 4 minifigures. All of them are orcs or Uruk-hai. It's had a price per piece of 11 cents, so a little bit above some of the other sets, but definitely not too high. Now this one had a ton of intricate detail with a windmill system and a bucket on a rope with metals that were sliding down into a cauldron below and a furnace as they're making weapons. And we can see some of those weapons on the right hand side of this picture here with the helmets with the white hand of Saruman printed on them and shields as well, which I thought was a really cool touch on this set. There's some interesting use of Technic pieces here as well, helping to power the windmill. And we also have a light brick in the furnace at the front, which is powered on by a button at the back. So this set took a little bit of a different approach to some of the rest of the theme, and I think it did a great job. It was released in May of 2012 and it retired in November of 2013 for a shelf life of around a year and a half. And this one had a retail price of $40. So the price per piece was around 11 cents, and the current price on eBay is $155 based on recent sales. So if you bought it for $40 and then sold it today for $155, that would be a return on investment of around 229% on this set, which isn't bad for a $40 investment. And the average annual return on that would be 29% because this has been retired for around 8 years. These return on investments are starting to climb up now. And next up we have the Shelob Attack set 9470 with 227 pieces and 3 minifigures, including Gollum, which I think is just such a cool depiction of that character. Of course, we have a buildable Shelob spider here, and I thought the detail in the spider was so well done. I'm a big fan, and a clever use of some pieces here. I also really enjoy that use of the string to act as Shelob's web and wrapped around Frodo. It just looks great. Now this set had a price per piece of 9 cents, which is pretty good value when compared with the rest of the theme. That puts it in the top 3 when it comes to price per piece and value. This set was released in July of 2012 and it retired in September of 2013, so it had a shelf life of just over 1 year, and it had a retail price of $20, so it was on the lower priced end in the range. The current price on eBay, it's selling for around $90 in recent sales, and that would be a return on investment of 283% if you bought it for $20 and sold it for $90. So averaging that out over the course of its retirement, which is just over 8 years, that would be 35% annually on this set. And now we are into the top 3 when it comes to the average annual return on investment in the Lord of the Rings Lego sets. Next up, we're looking at Gandalf Arrives, set number 9469, with 83 pieces and 2 minifigures in this one. This one had a price per piece of 16 cents, which is the highest in the entire theme of the Lord of the Rings. But of course, that price per piece didn't stop this from growing in value over time. I do think that maybe if they made this a little bit bigger with more pieces than those 83 pieces, they could have shown some of the Shire, because no other set is actually set in the Shire in the theme, which is a little disappointing given that it's such an important part of the first movie. Now this set was released in May of 2012 and retired in November of 2013, so it had a shelf life of around 1.5 years. And it had that retail price of $13. Right now on eBay you can get them for around $60. So that would be a return on investment of 293% on your $13 investment. Averaging that out over time, of course, it would be a 37% average annual return over the course of about 8 years since retirement. Moving into number 2 position now when it comes to average annual return on investment of the Lord of the Rings sets, we have the Wizard Battle 79005 with 113 pieces and 2 minifigures. This of course is based on the duel between Gandalf and Saruman, which wasn't really much of a duel because as we know, Gandalf doesn't stand a chance. This was a price per piece of around 11 cents on this set. And although it's good value, I do think that it is a little bit basic, this one, and I feel like if they were to make this today, they would do a better job when it comes to detailing around the throne. The Wizard Battle was released in June of 2013 and retired in January of 2015, so this and the Tower of Orthanc were the only 2 sets to be left on the shelves in 2015. So that had a shelf life of around 1.5 years and it retailed for $13. But right now on eBay, if you wanted to get one of these new and sealed, you would need to pay around $55. So that of course would be a return on investment of 260% if you bought it at the retail price and sold it for $55. That would be an average annual return of 39% over the course of those 8 years since it retired. And rounding out the theme here, folks, we have in number 1 position when it comes to the average annual return on investment, the Uruk-hai Army, set number 9471 with 257 pieces and 6 minifigures. Here we have 4 Uruk-hai and 2 fighters of Rohan with a horse and of course a piece of the Helm's Deep wall and a giant ballista weapon, which is pretty cool. And this set reminds me a little bit of the battle packs that we see in Star Wars when you want to build a droid army. If you wanted to build an Uruk-hai army, buying a ton of these would be the way to go. And this set was released in July of 2012 and it retired in November of 2013, so it had a shelf life of around 1.5 years. And it had a retail price of $30, which spread out across those 257 pieces makes for a price per piece of 12 cents. The current price on eBay is around $160, so that would be a return on investment of 353% if you bought this for $30 and sold it for $160 today. Averaging that out, of course, over the course of 8 years would be a 45% average annual return on this set. Now, let me ask you, what do you think of the Lord of the Rings Lego sets? Do you like the sets? Do you think that the Lego group did justice to the Lord of the Rings brand? Or do you think that maybe it would be great to see a re-release of this theme because they have become so much better with the designs in the last couple of years. So imagine what a new Lord of the Rings theme could look like. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I read every single one of them. If you enjoyed this video, you might also like this one right here. This is where I looked at the Lego architecture skyline sets and looked at the value and how they've grown over time. So make sure you check that one out. Please hit the like button as well on this video if you enjoyed this, because it will help me to understand if you want to see more similar videos in the future. With that, I'm Shane with BrickBucks.net. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.